Senator Larry George.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel like I've spoken more on this floor this week than I spoke the entire session. And the difference is that on some of these things are policy and some of them are personal. And on this bill, it's definitely personal. I own businesses that are LLCs and S corporations. And the only way to explain how this bill got to the floor, the condition it's in, is that the majority party doesn't understand who are our family and small businesses. When you have S corporations, LLCs, and partnerships, you don't pay separate taxes for those companies. All of the revenue that you make in your business flows directly onto your personal income tax. My staff did some research, and between 75 and 80% of these so-called rich Oregonians are actually small and family businesses who their business incomes flows to their personal income tax. For small businesses that are truly trying to grow, this is a devastating blow. So I'm going to give you some simple math. Let's say, for instance, you own an S corporation that is involved in manufacturing. You're an entrepreneur, you want to grow your business. This is a real-life example, folks. So you make $500,000 of income. As the carrier of the bill said, that's a rich Oregonian. You pay, before this bill passes, $200,000 in income taxes, okay? Because that money flowed onto your personal. Now understand, the business didn't transfer you $500,000. It's still sitting over in the business, but it flows to your personal income tax. So you pay personally $200,000 of income tax. Then the business, if you're a growing business and investing in capital, you've gone out and borrowed money, and your debt service comes out of your post-tax dollars. So if you have debt service that exceeds $300,000, you've paid $200,000 to the government for taxes, and you've paid $300,000 to the bank, you've got no money, and the majority party wants to raise taxes on those folks. Sure, there are some rich individuals that sit up in Dunthorpe and they make tons of money and they inherited a bunch of money, and heck, I think we ought to have an altitude tax. If you live above a certain elevation, you have to tax those folks. But for the rest of us who live down in the real world, the fact is that we are barely making it regardless of what's showing up on our personal income taxes. Those of us who have businesses. I went over to the House floor and I watched a House member, actually a young House member, get up and say that since 1990, he has been waiting to cast this vote. And I thought to myself, wow, we have had a very different experience over the last 18 years. My life over the last 18 years has been struggling, working 2 jobs, cold nights, sleeping on top of bags of hazelnuts, trying to catch 4 hours of sleep before I have to be back at work, not going home, not going to friends' weddings, stressing out whether I'm going to make payroll, living a life that is every day, 18 hours, 7 days a week. People used to make fun of me. And so now, at this moment where I'm borrowing money just to keep my business alive, to try to keep it competitive, we're in food processing. So all these new food safety things that we have to do, we're borrowing money, trying to keep the business alive. I'm trying to keep my employees employed. And then somebody comes up and says, I am proud to cast this vote. I've been waiting 18 years to cast this vote. As I drove into the Capitol, I'm constantly amazed because apparently I'm going to show up as one of these people who deserves to be taxed. And I'm driving in my $1,800 1994 Ford Explorer that has dings in the hood. You can all go down to the basement and take a look at it. And I'm looking at all these people who are saying the rich ought to pay, and they have cars that cost $30,000, and mine's $1,800 because I can't afford a $30,000 car. And yet, somehow, I'm not supposed to take this personally. This tax is about one thing. It's about taxing our entrepreneurs. My younger brother and I are partners in our business, and we're constantly amazed. We talk to older generations, people who are our mentors, and they had colleagues in manufacturing. You know? You talk to people who are in business, they had colleagues that they work with, that they were their peers. My brother and I are constantly amazed at how few young business people are in manufacturing because the opportunities are being squashed. This is an incredibly personal bill to me because I have labored for more than 18 years with my business trying to keep it alive, and people glibly say on this floor that somehow these people ought to pay their fair share. And I don't know if you truly believe that, because I don't think you do. I don't think that that's what's really being said, or there's a massive misunderstanding about how our tax structure works. It's an incredibly personal bill because of the fact that this is about small business. This bill, 75 to 80% of the people affected by House Bill 2649 are small and family businesses. All of you in the media, I want you to report that. That's the truth. I don't want to see these headlines anymore, but this is about some kind of rich individuals. So you in the media, please report what the truth is. And for those of us who are in business, who are trying to pay our taxes, but then also have to make debt service with post-tax dollars, please understand what you're doing to us. I suppose established businesses that are doing very well, that aren't investing in any new equipment, can afford to pay this. But if you're a small business person investing in the future of this state, and you are borrowing money for new equipment to try to, in my situation, meet new food safety standards and try to make Oregon Industries the best they possibly can, and you're investing in equipment, and you've got debt service to banks, you are going to bankrupt us. And you could say, oh, it's just a small little tax increase. It's a 20% tax increase in my state income taxes. This isn't a small little tax. This is a huge tax. And it's a huge tax on the very people that we need who are investing in the future of their businesses. It's a very personal tax because I lived the last 18 years. So while the good representative on the other side is proud, has been waiting 18 years to cast this vote, I'm sure that he got government grants to pay for his college education. I'm sure he got government loans to pay for his college education. I didn't. I paid for it out of my own pocket. I struggled through school to try to build my business. I struggled with having one job during the day and another job trying to build that business. I would go to auctions on the weekends trying to buy old pieces of equipment to fit into my plant so I didn't have to go out and borrow for the newest equipment. But you don't understand the struggles of entrepreneurs out there who are trying to make a living and trying to employ Oregonians, and you glibly believe that somehow this isn't about taxing small and family businesses. Well, I've spoken long enough. As you can tell, this bill right here is different for me because the majority party cannot understand the tax structure if you're going to pass this bill. There is no way that you actually understand, if you're voting a vote on this bill, there's no way you can actually understand how this applies to small businesses and family businesses in the state, because if you did, you would see that you are attacking the goose that lays the golden egg. The very people that will invest in new equipment, that will hire Oregonians, are the ones you're taxing. That cannot be what you actually intend. And I know that MoveOn.org and all these national groups have this tax the rich, and fine. But please have written the bill to exclude the money you make from S corporations and LLCs, the small business and the family businesses in the state. Please send this bill back to committee. Please do something not to cut off the economic engine of our state. I urge a no vote. Thank you, Mr. President.